Yo, it's me, your boy, Tymna. We're taking a look at another cEDH tournament. Not just any cEDH tournament. We're taking a look at the Topdeck Open, one of the more interesting platinum events that we're going to get to take a look at, because this was a big 256 player platinum Topdeck event, but it happened the exact same time as the Topdeck Invitational. So all those players are not in this event. So we have a little bit of a different breakdown where a lot of the bigger tournament grinders aren't present in the biggest event of the weekend. So we're going to take a look and see how that shook things up. But spoiler alert, there's some really spicy stuff you're going to want to stay till the end for. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know down below what you're thinking about the Invitational and the Open and the whole big weekend, and what you're thinking about the future of cEDH going into the 2025 season. Consider supporting me over on Patreon like these amazing patrons did. Get access to cool perks, help support me, get to make stuff like this all the time for you guys. And with all that being said, go ahead and hop into it. Use the link in the description below to download Whatnot, and you'll get $15 to use to buy magic singles, sealed product, get anything that you want really. There's no limits. You just get $15 on the account for free just for signing up. Use the link in the description below. Give Whatnot a try. Meta breakdown in terms of popularity starts pretty similarly to the Envy, where Tymna is the most popular deck, 33 entries, but only a 12% conversion rate with 4 top 16s. 3 Rog size making it in, 22 entries for 13% conversion rate. Sisay, pretty popular, but not doing very well. 16 of those showing up, only 1 sneaking its way into there with a 6% conversion rate. Nadu, a bit more popular here, although, you know, it is relative. You know, there were like 2 Nadus in the Open, but that was only 64 players. 13 here of the 256, and 2 of them snuck in. Then we've got Rog Thras, surprisingly the 5th most popular deck. Okay, nobody made it. I don't know if I'm at fault for this, but pretty interesting. I wish I got to look at a Rog Thras today, but interesting that it's very popular. And we see not a lot of representation from the other kind of middle of the road decks, and we see a lot of ones as we go on our way down. So going to be some stuff that really sticks out. So first up, we have a Nadu here at 16th. Okay, pretty different approach to a Nadu build so far. We haven't really seen, at least anything that I've covered, the Nadus that are looking to sort of spam out 0 drops as a way to really flood the board with creatures to target, you know, to trigger Nadu. Flip off Nadu, guarantee be able to cast it and keep the thing going. Going pretty heavy on the dorks, all the 1 mana Llanowar Elves effects plus Boreal Druid and Gilded Goose. So really heavy on the dorks. We do have the untappers like a Fetto Alchemist, Seeker of Skybreak, clones. Here we got the Kitten, Trinket Mage, no trophy, Metamorph, Landfall, creature generators. So not doing the full Landfall build. Fairly normal looking beyond the fact that they're putting in all these 0 drops to be able to really push for Nadu stuff. Sorceries. Okay, we got some stuff I haven't seen before. Okay, this is really cool. Splash Portal, blue, exile target creature you control, return to the battlefield under its owner's control. Creature is a bird, frog, otter, or rat. Draw a card. So this is a flicker effect. If you hit Nadu, 1, you get a Nadu trigger, obviously, but then you also draw a card. Pretty good. Sorcery speed is a little rough. Chatterstorm, create a 1/1 green squirrel creature token, Storm. Banned in Pauper, I believe, but hasn't really made a splash elsewhere, especially not in cEDH. But if you're doing the Nadu thing, you are storming. You're going to be casting creatures. You're going to be casting tutors to find them, getting artifacts into play, stuff like that. And if you get a storm count of like 4, that's, you know, and you have an actual, not, you know, like a Shuko or something in play, 8 Nadu's triggers, actually pretty bonkers. Like I'm a little surprised I haven't seen this card in here before. It makes a lot of sense. Then we've got tutors we would expect, finales, eldritches, those sort of things. Find our artifacts and our creatures. Interaction, we got the banishing knack, which pretty cool. Turns a creature into something that can tap and return something. You can trigger Nadu twice with this. I think there's some goofy combos you can do with this spell too. Dizzy spell, I think mainly here for the transmute. Let's just get like Shuko. But again, targets a creature. Emerald Charm, untap target permanent, destroy target non-aura enchantment. Target creature loses flying until end of turn. Mainly the untap and then destroying an enchantment can't come up. Essence Flux, we do have both of the board-wide targeters. Disrupting Shoal, okay. I like it. Usually when somebody shows up with a shoal, I like it. And we're on the days too. So really leaning into the free interaction, even the more situational stuff, just to keep that thing going, really fight through it. Artifacts, we have our 3 targeters and then some rocks. And then 30 lands, relatively low count for Nadus. We've been seeing lots of 30s. Field, Dryad Arbor, cool looking forest. We are on the Tarnished Citadel, Talon Gates showing up here. Not getting too cutesy with it. A fairly lean Nadu build. It's looking like it's trying to speed up is my guess. When you have only 30 lands and you have like these zeros, you want to be able to like really make sure you're able to trigger Nadu as early as possible. Kind of my take on it is what it's looking like. They're trying to speed it up a little bit. Pretty cool approach. Then we got a Sisay. This one is on Invasion, and we are on the Dahada along with the other planeswalkers you come to expect. We've got the Dorks, Kinnan. We do have the the Felia, which is like a okay popular option. Rocco here as well. The Opposition Agent, which can be controversial. You don't want to get it cloned because you are the deck that people run Opposition Agent for. But it's a pretty good card, and you're in the mirror. You want a way to just body them, right? And then Talion as an engine shows up every now and then. The rest of these are very, very much just solidified staples at this point. Urtais, Yakushima, stuff like that. Bowmaster's that popular? I feel like I don't see that many Bowmasters. I don't know. Sorceries, 2 tutors, Finale and Demonic Tutor. Instants, keeping it clean. No Force Negation, because that's a card for cowards. Legolas's Quick Reflexes here. Really, really good. Protecting our stuff. Cyclonic Rift. Not always the most useful because some problematic things you want to get rid of have flash. But Sisay can be a big mana deck or lean into that, and being able to get rid of multiple things all at once can be really nice. Resculpt, a card I'm seeing more and more in the Sisay builds. Artifacts, no One Ring, though we are on the Witchclaw Talisman, which doesn't always show up. And then stuff that you always see pretty much like Cauldron, Relic, Arcane Signets here. Enchantment, so we're on a bunch. We're on pretty much all the ones you ever see, more or less, other than some randomly weird one like Cultist, Oath of Nissa, Deafening Sound. These are all like, you expect like 5-ish guaranteed, right? Like Rhystic, Mystic, Hive, Touch, Oath, something like that. But running all of them here. Deafening Silence seems like a good play for the weekend. And Blind Obedience as well. And then 29 lands. I think that's a weird command tower. Nothing too wild in the mana base. So next up, we got a Niv-Mizzet. Not a deck I get to cover too often. New card like Mockingbird showing up. Hey, let's just copy a Dockside. We need it. Lord knows we need it. Baral, make our instants and sorceries cheaper. Which I think a lot of the time, it's the pips required that make doing that tougher, but maybe we're splashing like more 2-mana interaction things like Delay or Arcane Denial, stuff like that. We'll see. Goblin Matron, Dockside, Gilded Drake, Clones, the stuff you need to see. We're big on the Docksiding. We love doing that. It's how we cast our 6-pip commander. Roaming Throne, again, can name Goblin, can name Wizard. But pretty good, right? Name Wizard for your Niv-Mizzet. You double the triggers. That's pretty busted. And then Tandem Lookout, which can combo with Niv because we can ping, draw a card, ping, draw a card, and pop off. Sorceries, very few. Get Probe, Gamble, MDFC, Seagate Restoration, and then Time Twister, which can be really useful if we need to draw our deck to kill everybody and we need to reset. Time Twister is one of those ways that we can do that. All right, we got Alchemist Retrieval, Bolt, Rapid Hybridization, the Spell Pierce, Strix. Oh man, the counter spell suite. There is the Arcane Denial and the Delay. I don't know what to tell you guys. I alley-oop, but I've thrown it up to myself. Every piece of interaction you can run in these colors, it looks like. Unsubstantiate. We're going that deep. Snapback, Trick Bind. No actual Stifle, it doesn't look like. Commandeer, Misdirection. Yep, you're going to see those. Really just, you got to get the Niv down and you got to keep it going. You got to be able to fight over this stuff. I'm a little surprised at the density of bounce effects in removal, but I guess, you got to beat the Nadu, stuff like that. Turn them into a 3/3. Artifacts, not too crazy. Not even running the blue-red talisman here, just the Signet and the Felwar Stone. One Ring and then Grafdigger's Cage. We're not on Underworld Breach. Most of the Niv decks that I've looked at, none of the decks super popular right now anyways, but not very popular. And then we are running all the Curiosity effects. We got Curiosity itself to put on Niv to win, and then Ophidian Eye, which is also Curiosity, but Flash. That also wins us the game. And then Rhystic Mystic, of course. 31 lands seems reasonable. New options like Horizon of Progress, which could be pretty nice. Help us get that Niv out a little quicker. Surveil Land, like, Thundering Fall is very, very good. Talongate's Madara can get rid of a problematic thing like a Drannith Magistrate on our land drop to get our Niv down. Then coming up, we got Inalla. Really love seeing this deck. It's such a super cool deck. I know it's known for its super over-the-top win lines with Spellseeker and how complex it is, but at its core, it is a powerful Grixis shell. Let's see what new stuff they might be working with. So we got our little wizard package here. We got the Spellseeker, of course. We are on the Scholar of the Ages, which can clean up some of our lines, put that into play, get back 2 things. Apprentice Necromancer can turn a creature back from the graveyard, and it is a wizard. If we can bring it back with haste or something, it can be pretty powerful. Vanelkin Aether Mage has wizard cycling. And then we do have Ruthless Technomancer lines to be able to put that into play. Sacrifice creature, make a treasure, buy back that creature, blah, blah, blah. Flowering Necromancer, when it enters, you may return target vampire or wizard creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Another wizard that brings a wizard back to life. You're going to see lots of that with the Spellseeker lines. I'm not going to go through the main Spellseeker line, but they go through lines where they create copies of these wizards as they enter multiple times and generate multiple bits of value to be able to tutor up a line that lets them win the game. And a lot of people think of it as the full, whatever it is, 27-step combo, but if you're not a pilot, you know that any piece that you already have allows you more flexibility and you can cut short on some lines. Like if you have more mana or you have more cards than you need, things can change. These other reanimation sort of wizards, like Scholar of the Ages, stuff like that, can introduce different lines as well. Same thing with Ruthless Technomancer. It can really change up the ability, and very, very good Inalla pilots will know how to flexibly pivot between these things, especially if people start interacting with them like with exile effects. That can be one of the downfalls of this deck. Valley Floodcaller here as well. Non-creature spells cast as though they have flash. I don't know how often that helps with the Inalla lines. I guess it does let you reanimate and unearth, stuff like that. And instant speed, which can be really nice. And also just, this is going to be a Necro-born deck. Valley Floodcaller is just insane in Grixis. So the sorceries, yeah, we got that unearth, reanimate, even on the persist. Finale of Promise is part of the main Spellseeker line. We are a reanimator deck as well as a presumably Turbo Nas deck. Lots of effects to put cards into our graveyard. Unmarked Grave, Buried Alive. We've got Wheel and Windfall. We probably Breachin'. Deluge is our wipe of choice. Instance. You're going to see lots of these sacrifice effects. That's how we keep the thing going. We get 2 Spell Seekers. We want to coin the week with the first one. Use the mana, get a second one, go get a reanimation piece, boop, 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 generating mana as we go. Essence Flux lets us flicker. We have some removal stuff like Rabbit Hybridization. We are on the red Elemental Blast, no Pyroblast. And you can see also here the lack of a Force of Negation. Cutting the Forces was a thing I heard of in the Inalla decks before the Rogside decks, but this one is on Force of Will. Even more reanimation stuff. Got the Shallow Grave to reanimate instant speed, Corpse Dance to reanimate instant speed. We are on the Nas, we got the Sonhalf and Intuition. Artifacts, we got the LED, of course, Crypt, bunch of rocks. We are on the One Ring. Cool new options. We got Mystic Risk, of course. We're actually not breaching, which is wild to me. No breach. We're still on LED. That is a card that still does stuff. Lion's Eye Diamond's not a bad magic card, but yeah, no Brain Freeze up here. I guess I should recognize that, but no Underworld Breach in your Grixis shell. It does open you up for some slots. I don't know. I expected the breach to be here. It's so good. But then we also have Animate Dead as a reanimation piece. Necromancy is a regular old reanimation piece, although it has flash. Kind of. And then Chthonian Nightmare, which we can use to loop if we can go infinite with Chthonian Nightmare, with Dockside Extortionist, and then any wizard that has an ETB basically at all. It's pretty easy for us to win the game at that point. And then we're also on the Leyline of Anticipation, but there's not a Necro. I was wrong. There's no Necropotence. So I feel like the Leyline, it's still going to be good. You still get to hold and sandbag your Unearth and your whole Inalla line and do it instant speed. I'm just curious how the Leyline played out. And then we are in 25 lands, basic island even. Underground River. Pretty interesting stuff. Not what I expected. I did not expect the breachless Inalla here, but here we are. Next up, we got a Tymna Kraum. 13 creatures. We are not on Dranith. And it looks like we're running Polywog Prodigy instead of Phyrexian Metamorph. Mockingbird alongside the Phantasmal Image. Sorceries, pretty well what we'd expect for most of the TNK builds. Praetor's Grasp is starting to become more of a staple there as well. It's just a super flexible card. Instance, we're on the Offer and the Dispel. Don't always pop up. We are on both the Red Blasts. We're on the Daze. Wow, I've not seen that in a Tymna Kraum. Okay, we're getting lean with it. We're dazing people in Tymna Kraum. Hey, are you mad that Rogside's faster than you? Run more free interaction. You gotta adapt, loser. Artifacts, no One Ring. We are on a bunch of Talismans and Witchclaw. Enchantments, we are not on the Smothering Tithe, but we are on Rhystic Mystic Breach, Necropotence. And then we are on 27 lands with a Surveil Land, Raucous Theater. Okay, so I have 2 Surveillance, Meticulous Archive too. That seems a little bold in your 4-color deck, but hey, pop off. It worked here, right? Like, I respect the experimenting. I like it. Then we got another TNK. I bet this one won't be on days, but we'll see. Running a pretty similar creature package. We do have the Dranith Magistrate here and the Phyrexian Metamorph. This one not running the Phantasmal Image. Sorceries, we're on the Deluge here, not on the Praetor's Grasp. Both seem perfectly fine. I think you do want like 1 wipe right now. Reasonable to expect a Nadu. I think especially more in the open than in the instance. We got the Offer, both Red Blast, Silence, Brain Freeze, no Daze. I knew it. Nothing standing out too much here. Artifacts, Talismans, a Wishclaw, Mana Rocks, you got it. And then this one is on the Smothering Tithe along with the others. So more the staple kind of enchantments we expect to see. And we are on 27 lands. Any Surveil lands in the chat? Doesn't look like it. All right, we're taking a look at Pigeon's build of Nadu. We got the Tezzeret here along with the Invasion. No bunch of 0 drops here. We do have a Polywog Prodigy and a Dosin. Finally, somebody playing something respectable. Got the Untappers here, Bringheart, and the Scroot Swarm are on the Endurance. Reasonable amount of dorks, not going into the Boreal Druid at least. And then we got on the Spellskite. Not doing any of the cutesy packages here. We got tutors in the sorceries, but none for artifacts, just all creature tutors here. Instance, we got the Pact, we have the full board targeters, Cameo Safekeeping to protect our stuff, and we are on the Misdirection and Force of Vigor. I like the free spells in Nadu. You get to see lots of cards. Let's take advantage of it. Artifacts, Fast Rocks, nothing too cutesy here. Enchantments, we are on the Copy Artifact. I like it, especially you expect the Nadu meta. Ooh, you got a Shuko in play? Our Nadu trigger. And then we're on 32 lands, which is a bit between what we last saw and what we've been seeing. Again, Nadu's range from like 30 to 38 or something, I think, in what I've covered. On the Talon Gates, Urza Saga to go get our Shuko, Pendlehaven to target, Manamo just very, very good. Selfie Coliseum, lots of utility and can use for the endurance loop stuff. Looks like a good Nadu build. Then we're looking at a Rog side with 8 creatures. Good lord. Because we're on the Welder and the Flood Caller, which are new options, but we still haven't cut the Orcish Bowmasters in this build. Sorceries, we're also on all 4 wheels. No Demonic Bargain this time, guys. Sorry. Instance, we're on the Brainstorm. You expect to see that in the Citadel list for the most part, I think, and even some of the non-ones. Entomb to go with our Goblin Welder. That's where we made room. We cut the Forces, so they're for nerds. We don't need them. Countering spells is for bots. Artifacts, we've got all the mana in the world. We are on the Grim Monolith, which we saw like Zane cut past weekend, and we're on the Bolus's Citadel, of course. That's what we're welding for. Enchantments, 5 you expect to see. Necro, Breach, Mystic, Ristic. And then 23 lands, we are on Undercity Sewers as a Surveil land. You should expect there's a decent chance the rocks at your table might be on Welder stuff. Gotta watch out for that now. Next up, we got a Tivit here in the chat. Looking like a Tivit player to me over here. We've got Dauntless, Dothy, both seem like fairly good options. Like these 2 drops all seem like fairly good options if you can get them out in time to like slow the game down enough to live. Makes you more likely to get a turn 3. Blazer Kitten, we are on the Teferi, so we got that combo. It's also just pretty good with Tivit, of course. And we are on Talion as an engine, card we've seen less and less of recently as the game is kind of sped up. No Mockingbird. Nuclear Fallout is a board wipe. We saw this a bunch in like the Chinese and Japanese lists. They really seem to like that effect. And Deluge, so doubling up on the board wipes. And we've got the Time Twister you don't always see in the Tivits, but showing up here can be really nice to reset the game if things get out of control. And then another deck on Praetor's Grasp. We didn't always see the Tivits run this, but hey, this is a way to get a red card, you know? That's the best thing you can do in this format. Instant, Offer, Dispel, Miscast even, Strict Serenade, so kind of control-y leaning stuff, the mana drains, muddled mixtures. Not going too wild with like the 2 mana interaction, I think right now. It's not what you want to do. We are on the Graph Figures gauge. We're on the One Ring, of course. No Nas, of course. And then we're on the Imposter Mech as our another clone that we can run. Enchantments, Tithe, Blind Obedience, Mystic, not running Touch the Spirit Realm, which we see sometimes pop up into the Tivits. And we're on 30 lands, got the Cavern, got the Fomori Vault, which I'd much rather see. If you're going to submit a Tivit list, don't show me Archway of Innovation. Give me Fomori Vault. Don't let me see that nonsense. And then Bjorna Wernog, or Blues Clues, also a deck we saw do well in the Invitational, top 16ing in the Open. Way fewer creatures here, looking way more similar to like Tymna Kraum. I think Eric was on like 21, something close to that in the Envy. Here we're keeping it very lean. We're on Impercruiter because of the flexibility of how much stuff we have, and we have creature combo with Dox Extortionist and Baron that this can get both of, as well as being able to get the clones that can work on like if there's a Dockside already in play, stuff like that. So valuing the clones, we got 3 of them for 2 mana for like Dockside Extortionist. Although notably, you can't Baron with Image. You have to do that with Duplicate or Mockingbird. Not running things like Opposition Agent, which we see in Tymna Kraum. This deck maybe, you know, just looking to go a little bit quicker than that. On the Toxic Deluge is our board wipe, and then we're on Beseech the Mirror. I think we saw this in Eric's build as well. If your mana base is built to support it, you're trying to go a little bit quicker. Powering out an early Beseech can be really nice. Instance, we are on the Alchemist Retrieval, maybe more likely to be on Necrodom. We'll see. Offer Culling the Weak. Limdul's Vault. Okay, hadn't seen that one all weekend. It is a reasonable top deck tutor. It is like a payoff card if you're really looking for a density of that, which I think if you're not on like Praetor's Grasp, like I probably am running that before Limdul's Vault. I think that card is just a little higher quality, though you might be looking for something more specific in your build. Like if you're like, man, I need Baron, I just have to do an artifact combo that's so easy to interact with. I guess you might be in a spot to do that. We're on the Flare of Duplication here. We do have a 2 mana red commander we can sacrifice, as well as Ragavan, Dockside, Impercruiter, and then kind of Simian Spirit Guide. Not really. It's just a busted card. Flare of Duplication, just a very, very, very powerful card. Artifacts, we are on the Mox Amber. We get to support that pretty well with our 2-drop commanders. No One Ring. We're not doing Cloudstone Cura as a way to win. Compared to like Eric's list, I believe he was on Hullbreaker Horror. We're also not doing that here. We're keeping it way cleaner with the creature count. Springleaf Drum, again, taking advantage of our cheap commanders. 5 enchantments, no Necrodom. We are on Chthonian Nightmare, which again, we can combo off with Dockside Extortionist to make it infinite treasures and sacrifice our commander over and over, put it into play, and then get everybody dead. And we're on 26 lands, keeping it lean with Undercity Sewers as a Surveil land here. Ooh, this is a moment we've been waiting for right here. We got Bad Dog. I think it's the first time I got to cover him. Got to meet him this past weekend. Playing Kaalia, his baby. This is a deck that he's been playing for a very long time. Let's just show you what it's all about. Here's what it's all about. You have good Mardu cards, your Ragavans, your Espers, stuff like that. We're also on Dual Caster Mage here. We'll see which cards we're running in combo with it. Presumably at least Saw in half because we're on Hoarding Broodlord. Magda we see in some of these decks that are on like Citadel. It can be a nice option. Also though, you are on a big dragon to be able to tutor up that can win the game. Children of Corliss, 1 mana, sacrifice it, you gain life equal to the life you've lost this turn. That's really good with a couple of cards that we run. It can be very good with Ad Nauseam. It can be very good with Bolus the Citadel. It can be good with Doom Whisper, which has pay 2 life, surveil 2. You can just dump most of your deck into the graveyard and then get all that life back and then keep it going. You know, Sevreg your breach or whatever you need to do, whatever you're fueling. Hoarding Broodlord is known for its combos with Saw in Half. You put Broodlord into play, convoke a Saw in Half, you get 2 Broodlords to search for something like Sacrifice or Burnt Offering, and then Peer or Ad Nauseam or some other powerful payoff. Razaketh. We don't run that many creatures, but we got some lying around presumably. If we can get Razaketh into play, we can tutor once. We can honestly probably set up a win from there. If not, maybe 2 tutors should get the job done. And then Villas. These both not ones we've seen too much of recently, although Doom Whisperer just never really seen a lot of. Villas, known for its very powerful interaction with Reanimate. If you entomb a Villas, then you reanimate it, it will enter, it will see that you took 8 damage, and then draw 8 cards. Pretty powerful. Again, another reason we're running all these is because we can just pop them into play with our commander. Kaalia is whenever you attack an opponent. Why is it specifying attack an opponent? Who else you're going to attack? You may put an angel, demon, or dragon creature card from your hand onto the battlefield, tapped and attacking that opponent. Attack with Kaalia, boom, Razaketh into play, Broodlord into play. Really, really strong stuff. Sorceries. So we're going to have some ways to get stuff into our graveyard. Of course, we got Faithless Looting to filter through our yard. Reanimate to bring the stuff back. Gleeful Demolition, destroy target artifact. If you control that artifact, create 3 1/1 red Phyrexian Goblin creature tokens. Seems really good with Razaketh. Like 1 mana get 3 tutors. I'm guessing that's the main synergy there. I don't know. It seems pretty good to me. We are not on the Molten Duplication or Twin Flame. We are going to be on Saw in Half. So that's another thing that Dualcaster Mage can combo with. Also, though, it's just very good to be able to Dualcaster Mage. Like, it's just a good effect on a card. The combo is very easy to disrupt. Dualcaster Mage itself, usually not so much. Just being able to be 3 mana creature, you flash in, copy another thing. Tutors, stuff like J-Will. Curious how often J-Will actually is both modes with Kaalia, being a 3-pip commander. Lively Dirge, really nice in any sort of reanimator focused deck. Search your library for a card, put it into graveyard. By spreeing it for 3, you can pay 5 to return 2 target creatures of mana value 4 or less from your graveyard. You can fill things up with like Dockside Magna. Boop, do the thing. Broodlord into play. And then we're also on the Beseech instance. We got that Burnt Offering. We are on Entomb. We're doubling up on silence effects with something like Orm's Chant. And Final Showdown's a pretty cool one. White, you pay 1, all creatures lose all abilities till end of turn. Pay 1, creature you control gains indestructible. And you pay 3 white, destroy all creatures. 2 mana, turn off creatures until end of turn is very good against a lot of decks right now. Nadus, Sisays, things like that. Mausoleum Secrets, card we don't see too much of. Search library for black card with mana value less than or equal to the number of creature cards in your graveyard. Reveal it, put it in your hand, then shuffle. Doesn't have to be that many to be good. A lot of times you're going to tutor for a 2-drop. Another deck on Flare. Let me get a red creature count. 1, 2, 3, 4 and a half. And for stacking Kaalia. Hey, it's just powerful enough, I guess. And then we are on that Ad Nauseam. Shallow Grave, another reanimation piece. Artifacts, bunch of rocks. We are on the Vexing Bauble to shut out our opponents, turn off free spells, and the defense grid to do a very similar job. Wish Call, Grinding Station, we're gonna be doing that breach stuff. And then we're on the Apple of Eden to take our opponent's hands. That's pretty dang good. Enchantments, kind of what you'd expect. Breach, Necropotence, no Necro Dominance. Probably can be a little difficult to take advantage of a win with Necrodom. We're not a Born Upon a Win deck. We use the graveyard a lot for a lot of these things we seem to be doing. We are on the Necromancer to reanimate. And we got Static Prison, which is just really powerful in these sort of builds. Just 1 mana, remove anything. That's some flexibility you don't really get for the most part. And then 25 lands, fairly low land count. Notably, we did not see Bolus the Citadel. The hint was that there was no Welder package here, right? These sort of decks usually will be on like Welder or Engineer. You don't see that. Probably not going to expect to see a Citadel when you come down here. In other decks, Magda would also be sort of a tell that that's happening. But again, here we have a big old dragon that wins the game. And we are in the Cavern of Souls. Shadowy Backstreet as the surveil land of choice. We're on the Forbidden Orchard. And we're on Emergent Zone. This is something we've been starting to see more and more of, is non-crop rot decks that are just Necropotence decks or whatever opt to run Emergent Zone. Next up, we got another Tymna Kraum, 14 creatures, pretty similar to what we've been seeing. We're on the Polywog Prodigy. We're on the Dranith, Mockingbird, no Fimage. We are on the Metamorph. You're seeing some combination of this sort of stuff that we've seen in this tournament so far. It's about the average now. No board wipes here in the sorceries. Also no P-Grasp, none of that. Instance, Offer and Dispel just becoming pretty popular. And Miscast too, cringe. Doesn't even counter Necropotence. Come on, guys. If your spell can't counter Necropotence, what's it even for? Both the Red Blast, Artifacts, the Rocks. We are on the Mamber, 2 Talismans. A little bit higher on the enchantments. We've got the Copy Artifact, and then the Steel Enchantment, which we've seen a bit of. If you're in a very grindy game, you can double up on Heuristic. You know, it takes somebody's very very powerful thing. Somebody else uses a Necro. You know what? I want a shot at that Necro. Let me try it. You do remove the downside for them, but hey, you get a Necropose. That's pretty good. And then we're on the 27 lands, Forbidden Orchard, Cavern. We are on a Surveillant here. So starting to see these more and more in Tymna Kraum. Now, we're taking a look at one of the coolest lists of the event. Certainly the one that ate up most of the time in the top 16 and the top 4. That is Sefris of the Hidden Ways. I've talked about this list, though I don't know that I don't think I ever got to cover it, but I have talked about it. Esper, 2/3. Whenever one or more creature cards are put into your graveyard from anywhere, venture into the dungeon. This ability triggers only once each turn. And then it has the ability whenever you complete a dungeon, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So this is able to push you through dungeons, and then once you complete them, reanimate something. What are we going to be doing with that? What we're going to be doing is running 43 creatures. I ain't reading all this, but essentially we are looking to stax out our opponents. We're looking to take advantage of the different dungeons, moving through them different ways. We have, so notably Sefris, Graveyard from Anywhere, but it is only triggered once each turn. We got some cards that'll let us do that, right? Like we can Psychic Frog, discard a creature, boop, move through the dungeon. We have the ability, so Sefris itself will only give us access to the regular dungeons, but if we play a card like White Plume Adventurer, we take the initiative, we enter the Undercity dungeon, then we're able to move through that much more powerful dungeon that has really impactful steps through it. There's a lot. There's a lot. We're looking at very niche stuff. Running stacks pieces, Dranith, Aethersworn, Lavinia, Dauntless, Eidolon, Archon of Emeria, Elishnorn, bigger Elishnorn, stuff like that, okay? We're also running, like I mentioned, a density of ways to get us into the Undercity, get taking the initiative, and move through dungeons better. White Plume, this bird, Passageway Seer, Ravenloft Adventurer, Vicious Battle Rager, different ways to get into that dungeon and move through it as well. Midnight Pathlighter, when a creature deals combat damage to a player, we venture into the dungeon. That can move us through dungeons very, very, very quickly. And then we can kind of beat our opponents down by doing this sort of stuff, right? Every time we're moving through the dungeon, we're buffing our creatures, we're dealing 5 damage to somebody, can reanimate something, put a creature into play, make 4/1 menace skeletons, really impact the board. And then we're also going to be looking to be able to break our sort of rule of law effects by getting to do more things than just cast a spell per turn. Like Harvester of Misery has the ability to discard it, target creature gets -2/-2. You can also cast it to do that to the whole board. Really cool with this, you pay to discard it, do that. You also trigger Sefris when you do that because the creature went to the graveyard. Cards like Stunt Double, that has Flash. I can do that on opponent's turn. Something like Subtlety. I can play my spell for turn. That's like a Feywild Caretaker to get the initiative. Do this other stuff to move through it. Even Street Wraith kind of work in the same way as Harvester of Misery, just to be able to, at any point, instant speed, just boop, move through the dungeon to the next floor, possibly messing up with what's happening. Solitude, Troll. You can kind of see the idea. We have these different ways to do things. Nimble Obstructionist has, when you cycle it, it's a Stifle effect. Get you a dungeon and Stifle. Very Macabre. Super relevant bit of text on this. Graveyard Hate, that's incredibly hard to interact with and moves me through the dungeon. And then Radiant Solar lets you do that twice. You get to move through the dungeon twice, and there's also a combo you can do with Radiant Solar. I know this deck is built not to combo. It is very much built to set people down into the dirt and grind them and get them dead. Sorceries, 3 tutors. Instants, we got some interaction, not an insane amount. Offer, we got the Dark Grid to help power things out. Ephemerate can protect our stuff as well as reset our commander. Remember, that's once per turn. So if that's relevant, in this sort of once per turn or ETB effects between that and Essence Flux, we might want to be able to reset or redo. Only tutors in instance here is Enlightened Tutor and Vamp. We're on the Sawn Half. That, again, that can be good with just big old dumb creature, something powerful, move through the dungeon twice, whatever it is. Artifacts, not too many. Stuff to help power our mana out. On the Null Rod to stop our opponents from doing artifact stuff, and then Saravox Tome, which when it enters, we take the initiative. If you have the initiative, it taps for 2. Exile cards from top of your library to exile non-land, cast it for free, activate only if you've completed a dungeon. And then enchantments, Stony Silence, stop artifacts, Mystic to draw, Deafening Silence, not even running the Rhystic Study. We don't need it. 28 lands, 30 with MDFCs, stuff like Cephalid Coliseum, City of Traders. I like that choice. It's usually viewed as like a turbo card, but we just need to turbo out a stack speed sometimes to make sure we live, right? Takenuma fits this deck so perfectly well. That's kind of fun. Very, very cool deck. Awesome to see something like this get into top 4. Very unique, super sick approach. And Brian, or Ducky, who's playing this, is just a super awesome guy. Was very happy to see him get there. Next up, we've got a Tymna Kraum. Again, we're here. First one we see with the Valley Flood Caller, though. So a little bit different. Nothing too wild, though. Fairly similar to what we've been seeing in the creature package. Sorceries, we are on the Deluge as a wipe. Got the Rite of Flame, no P-Grasp, Instants, Red and Pyro. Still not any more Dazers. No more Dazers in the chat. Fluster, another Into the Flood Mob player. Gift and Fish. Born, Brain Freeze, nothing too wild here. Artifacts, we have one more talisman effect than we've been seeing. Another Mamber player. 5 enchantments we expect to see in Tymna Crom's at this point. Necro Breach, Rhystic, Mystic, Hive. 27 lands. We're on the City of Traders. I like it. Gotta keep it quick. Gotta keep it moving. Undercity Sewers is Surveillance. Yeah, we're seeing people experiment with the TNK mana bases a good bit now. I like it. We got a Rock Side here at second place. Still on the Bowmasters. Still on the Flood Caller. So in the Invitational, we saw almost everybody cut Bowmasters out of Rock Side because they're trying to get quicker and beat the other Rock Sides and stuff like that. In the Open, I definitely think Bowmasters is probably still the play. It can be pretty good at dealing with people in the Swiss, get into grindy games. You know, it's not exactly, it doesn't exactly line up with your plan, but it's like a safe thing to include and it's like a nice sort of backup win con. Sorceries, both the extra turns, grasp, all 4 wheels again. Instants, no brainstorm, don't expect it. We are on both forces in this build and both red blasts, so not going quite as light on the interaction as some of the lists we saw in the Envy. Nothing really in the artifacts either that's super standing out. Springleaf, Paradise, yeah. And the enchantments we expect for Rockstars right now. So this is a really pretty traditional build on the 23 lands, running Undercity Sewers as a surveillance. And your winner for the first Platinum event of the new season, Boston Roll, otherwise known as Brian Koval, decided that he wanted to just win and he's playing Rogsai. You love to see it. Same creature package here as on the Bowmasters and the Flood Caller. Nice and safe. Makes sense to me. Sorceries, also on all of the wheel effects. Get Probe, still leaning into that. Is he not on Swan Song? He is on Swan Song, so slightly cowardly behavior. Not too bad, you know. I think he's getting there. I think he could have a full recovery from his time with Tymna Crom. You got to give people time and space to do these things, you know. Also running both the forces. Again, he's new to this, guys. Don't hold it against him. It's okay. Pretty much on all the broken stuff you'd expect to see. His beautiful mental messed up. Not messing with any of the Citadel nonsense. I believe he got his list from Bryant Cook of the Epic Storm. That's why you see the lack of Grinding Station. That's one of the only people in the observable universe who still isn't on Grinding Station. Wasn't here either. I don't know that it came up, although I do know he pitched his Brain Freeze to Force of Will like before his first turn and then was like, oh, my breach is gone. It doesn't have to be this way. Just run Grinding Station. Easy clap. Very good card. But anyways, no Grinding Station here. You'll notice that as a difference. Enchantments still on both the Necros, Breach, Mystic, Rhystic, and then he's on 24 lands, a little bit different of a mana base than we see from some of the Rock Sides right now. He is on the Undercity Sewers and then is also on the Mount Doom as his 24th land. Not experimenting with any of the welder stuff. Any of that is a little bit different and where he got the list from. So not doing the Grinding Station, stuff like that. But still good, clean Rogsai build. You'd love to see it take down more events. You know, switches to Rogsai, wins a tournament. There are many such documented cases. And that's our event. That's the first event of the new season. Let me know down below what you think of this new season, what you think of the Rogsai Overlords. I love to see it. You love it. I think you should just win. And also, you know, it's cool to say just win, you know, turbo. We got a stax deck in the top 4, a true dedicated casting our spell stax deck that approaches from a very different angle and is just super awesome to see. I really liked this top 16. We got some really cool stuff between Kaalia and Sefris and you know, things like that. The Inalla. Let me know down below what you thought of it. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. And as always, go play cEDH. Have a good one, everybody.